All right, welcome back to Virtual School Assembly for this professional development session. Today our guest is Rich Bontrager, or Trigger as he is commonly known in the industry. He's enjoyed a 30-year career as a sports broadcaster, a talk show host, and now as a keynote speaker. With his expertise, Rich coaches and equips leaders, speakers, and organizations on how to rock the virtual stage. With his coaching and programs, Rich coaches and equips leaders in how to more effectively share their message via the virtual stage more powerfully and entertainingly. Obviously, this is a hot topic right now for teachers as we're now hitting the virtual stage, many of us for the first time. So Rich, so grateful to have you on the show. Let me hand you the virtual mic and we will get going.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This is perfect. Yes, teachers, I understand. Welcome to the virtual stage, first of all. Teachers, administrators, principals, university presidents, whatever you are, welcome to the virtual stage. You are in for an amazing, exciting thing if you embrace it. I understand there's a fear. There's a camera in front of your face for the first time. It's not a student. It's not a classroom. You're in a room by yourself. Now, I'm a broadcaster. I've been in the broadcast booth by myself. I've been in basketball, football arenas most of my life. My career has been to make it entertaining and lively and fun, whether I'm in a studio by myself, talking to myself and making you on the radio think that's cool, or whether I'm in a football game trying to describe it to you through the radio. That's where I'm bringing some of this media, some of this storytelling, some of this ability to bring things alive when you really are alone. So strap it on. I hope you guys are ready for some good stuff here today. I want to help you out to make this school year better because it is going to be a new pioneering year. And that's the first thing. Experiment. This is a new grand experiment. This stage that I'm on is virtual and it's limitless. It is not a tiny little box. This is ever expanding. So teachers, administrators, don't think of this as small. Think of this as big. And mentally, that's the first jump you need to take. I coach people on this all the time. Mentally, you need to change your mind from this is a tiny little room. I'm in my office. I'm in my classroom by myself. You are on a stage, everybody. Use this as an absolute stage and completely compel, teach, excite. And I'm going to give you some pointers on how to do that because you want to engage your students. We all know the students are going to have their cell phones on their. We know the students are going to have other distractions going on. They'll have music or video games on the side that you cannot see. You need to allow, yeah, they'll be doing exactly that. Turn their head off and looking everywhere, Tyler. You're right. And so you need to engage them somehow. So my number one tip is after you mentally understand this is a real stage, stand up out of your chair. Stand up and present like you're in your classroom. Most teachers that I know, you walk around, you engage, you go up and down the rows. I was a substitute teacher for a while in Denver. So I've been in the classroom. I know what it's like to try to engage live students. The trick is you need to do the same thing here on the virtual stage. 70% of all we say is body language. It's your head, it's your eyes, it's your physicality of your arm, your movement, how you stand. So as you communicate, you want to bring energy to everything you do. Because if you are drab, if you have your head down here, sitting in a chair, and it's just showing on the camera, your students are going to not be engaged. If you're in a teacher's group preparing, as you prepare for school right now, administrators, leaders, coaches, stand up and present. Everyone will feel like they're in the boardroom. Everyone will feel like they're in a small environment if you present small. If you present big, they will come on the amazing journey with you through the camera lens. So I'm going to pick on Tyler for a second because he's sitting down. Now, tell me, how does it feel when you communicate from the chair? Because I've been a broadcaster. Again, I've been on the Johnny Carson type sets and shows and interviews. I do it all the time. And an interview chair is different than a presentation platform. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. However, I would say that how it feels depends on what I'm communicating. And so, for example, so I'm on a couch right now, and you can't see this, but I'm propped forward in the couch. I have 3 pillows behind me so that I'm on the edge of the couch. So I lean forward because I want the feeling of leaning forward, because that's how I'm setting myself in the stage. Now, is it the same as standing up? Do I have the same freedom? Absolutely not.
So as a teacher, what do most teachers do right now in their classroom virtually? When COVID hit and everyone jumped on to the laptops, were most teachers think sitting down, or were some of them trying to stand up, or was it a free for all? What was going on, do you think?
Well, honestly, I haven't seen what a lot of other teachers are doing just because I was concerned with what I'm doing in the classroom. But I can say when COVID hit for me, I experimented with this. And what I found is if I was teaching, I almost always was standing, because then I could use, whether it was a virtual background or actually in my classroom writing on the board and stuff, I liked to feel like a teacher. So anytime I was doing instruction of any kind, I was standing. If it was communicating like a weekly newsletter or just announcements and things like that, I would sit. And quite honestly, even in the classroom, I'll often sit for those kinds of things. I sit on my desk and do the announcements. And so for me, it was doing what felt natural. And that's what I tried at the beginning. Now I've changed and adapted a little bit since then because of what you say. It's hard to bring energy when you're sitting and things like that. But when I first tried it out, I tried to do what felt the most natural.
Great. And again, that's part of the experimentation. Every teacher, every administrator, you got to experiment with this. And one of the ways to do that is to do it off camera. Zoom, you can bring it up live at home, and you can practice with Zoom or whatever platform you guys are going to use in your school studies. You can roll all you want to do. You can stand up, present, and the cool thing is you can delete and trash can it. No one will ever know. So you can actually review yourself as speakers. I coach people. It used to be standing in front of a mirror. That's how long ago I was doing this. And I would stand in front of a mirror and watch myself for my mannerisms and all the different things. Now you can literally grab your iPhone, or you can grab a tablet, you can Zoom things, videotape yourself, get used to the microphones, get used to the lighting, get used to your stage presence, and critique yourself. Teachers, maybe do this in advance. Do some B-roll, some practice sessions, come together and share them and get some feedback from each other, so you sharpen your skills in your particular setting. And that will make you better when you go live in the classroom. It's the preparation. Now, the camera is your new best friend. This is the biggest thing right now, is look at the camera as if it's a person. It's not a dot. It's not a glow. It's not an evil thing. Some people are really having a hard time trying to make this thing come alive. That's one of your students. Your camera is an individual, is a person. When I first switched from radio to more of the TV medium, which, by the way, you're all broadcasters now. Welcome to the broadcast tribe. Every one of you is now a broadcaster. I actually put a picture in front of the camera. I put my family. So I had faces, I had eyes, I had memories come before me. If you need to do that, teachers, to get yourself comfortable with the camera being a person, do it. Because you're talking to students that you already love, you already know, you care about. And the trick this year is going to be, you're going to have a new wave of students that are new to your class probably, and they're all going to be trying to figure out this virtual world too. So it's not just you figuring out, they're trying to figure it out. So the more you address the camera, look at the camera, and make it a personal thing. Now, smile, laugh, pause, enjoy it like you would a dialogue in the classroom. Now, here's the other thing. You'll probably have your screen like the Brady Bunch. For those of us who remember the Brady Bunch, Hollywood Squares, whatever you're thinking of, you're going to have all these students on there. Now, as a presenter of the stage, when I'm in a live keynote, I don't have name tags. I don't have anything but a crowd to look at. You actually have names. You can call them. You can engage with them by name. Engagement is the key here. So besides doing the math, the science, literature, I think lit teachers are going to have an extra leg up here because it's creative. It's storytelling. I think you can do a lot of fun things. Read your part of the book. Let me give you some feedback. Use character voices. You can do a lot of things in that arena. You can do things in sciences as well, but I think literature, you may have a lot more fun here. So make it that you can call their names. Get them involved. In Zoom, there are breakout groups now. Here's one of the great, cool things. Use the breakout sessions. So if you launch in a class and you want to be interactive, do your setup piece, tell them you're going to do breakouts. You can have it shuffle and surprise the students. You can intentionally put students in the right room. So You don't have those two kids that you know should not be in the same group together. You can still control that, put a timer on it, give them an assignment, even have a facilitator, one of the students, which could be the facilitator, and have them go in with a question. Have them go in with a problem to solve. Have them to go in and read a text together for a literature class, and then come back, and a spokesman from the group, and the whole group then gets to be the spokesman and engage virtually that way. See, these are the different ways now. You can turn it into a monologue, into a dialogue, into an interaction, but that's where you have to learn the platform. You have to feel comfortable, and you have to treat it like a real person. When you say, hey, Steve, Sue, Eric, Lindsay, you guys are each going to have a breakout group. You're calling them up by name. You're getting them engaged. You're prepping them what to do, and you send them off, and you bring them back. So make it very, very, very personal. Now, the technical side is good lighting is always going to be important. It's kind of strange, but audio, people will deal with bad audio, but lighting is a whole different thing. You are now in a visual communication world. You don't want the lighting from below your chin. You're going to look like Dracula and have that little dark ring around your face. It's not going to be good at all. You don't want to have the two-faced look where the line is dark and light on one side. That's not going to work. You need to invest in some lighting, or if your classroom, if you're really shooting your real classroom by yourself, go near a window. Natural lighting is the number one form of light. Everyone tries to duplicate it with the ring lights, with other canisters. If you get by real sunlight and stand with your window facing you, with your classroom behind you, that's going to light up your face and be wonderful. Now, Tyler, how are schools doing with that? How have they been doing this? Are people mostly coming from their homes? Are they going into their classroom and shooting these things? Or is that morphing as well? Where's their platform really going to be?
Not sure. When the pandemic started, teachers were asked to go and teach from home. So very, very few teachers would be at the school. Now, school at that time was a great place to social distance because no one was there. And so I still went into school once or twice a week to film videos and do things. And I was usually the only one in the school. And so I think at least early on, very, very few teachers were doing it from home. As we've gone throughout the summer, and a lot of teachers are experimenting over the summer, we're finding a place in our home that works. And that's where I'm seeing a lot of teachers are experimenting. Now, when we hit the fall and school starts back up, I think most schools are going to try to do some sort of face-to-face classroom again. Who knows how long that will last? But we all are preparing for some sort of hybrid model moving forward. So teachers are going to be experimenting both at home and at school because we don't know what to expect.
So what do you do when you went into your classrooms, and I just described lighting and windows? Break it down for your situation. What exactly did you do? How did it work? What did not work for you?
Yeah, I experimented a lot with the different lighting. So I wanted the natural light. I have a light kit here at home, but I didn't want to take it to school. And I have a fairly bright lights in my classroom. So it's not natural lighting, but bright enough overhead lights that I wasn't feeling like I was washed out. It was actually really good lighting, better than you would find in most places. And I suspect a lot of classrooms are like that. A lot of classrooms have multiple lighting options because they think you're going to dim it for a presentation like on your PowerPoint or something like that. So a lot of classrooms have multiple lighting options. And I experimented with that with the blinds open, with the blinds closed in different parts of the classroom. And so I found what worked for me. And for sitting shots where I'm just talking, I wanted the bookshelves in the background because it looked better. But then that's where the lights were, and it was blinding me. And so I had to close the blinds for those kind of shots. And so it was just playing around and figuring out what worked.
Well, and then you talk about the bookshelf. So let's talk about environment. I think environment's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mine's a virtual green screen. I've gone from a tiny green screen to half my office studio now is a green screen. Mm-hmm. So I can go and present a full theater production. I can be on a real full stage. Now, you don't have to do that, teachers, but a green screen does allow you to create a virtual environment. You can put a backdrop, you can drop in things, chemistry class, you can be in a chem lab, even if you're at home. If you're doing social studies and history, you can take them to the Vietnam Wall Memorial. There's a lot of things that you can do now to present and create an environment, which creates an experience, which gets the visual, which gets the imagination. Again, literature, man, you can do so much literature with amazing stuff. But if you don't have the virtual screen, you can create a virtual set, like the school backdrop, like Tyler, you were just saying. The bookshelves are always great. That's going to be wonderful. Some teachers I know have done right on the whiteboard. They'll kind of go back on it and use it. Now, sometimes the camera picks it up, sometimes it doesn't. I think there's another tool that you can use on Zoom. There's a whiteboard. You can literally right on the screen and do the virtual whiteboard talk. You can share screens. You can bring in. You can do all your PowerPoints in advance. Flip it over, and you can bring yourself up on a little cube and part of the corner, and still present your slides and material right there and write on those slides. So if you're used to that type of visual, interactive, writing, descriptor stuff, that's a great way to engage. But to me, create an environment. When this all first started, speakers, leaders that I work with and coach, they were in their bathrooms. They were in their bedrooms. They had the closet clothes hanging over there. They were trying to find someplace quiet to be alone because they had no offices. They didn't know what they're doing. Teachers are in the same boat. The thing is, how can you create an environment that they're going to want to come check in with you? They're going to want to come to your classroom virtually, or that hybrid. And I think there will be a hybrid. I think there'll be some days live, and I think there are going to be some days virtual, just so they can break up the interactions and COVID and contact. So you could be live in the classroom one day, and the next day you could be checking with your students. Keep the engagement, keep the environment engaging that way, just like you would live. Teachers, I don't know what dress code is anymore in school. Tyler, what's the dress code now in school? I have no idea. Is it professional, semi-professional? Is it baseball jerseys? What can a teacher wear now these days?
The expectation moving into this new normal is we still have professional dress. However, I think many schools are taking more freedom with masks, for example. So if you're wearing a mask, you can show your individuality with that mask and things like that. Now, it depends on your school. In my school, we actually have a dress code. And so teachers have, certain things expected. Our students have a uniform. So it's a school by school basis. But I don't think dress will change whether we're virtual or not. I think the expectation for teachers is still look professional.
And that would be my encouragement. Dress professional, dress right. It's going to show your students you showed up. You're still treating this like a real classroom, no different than before. Now, the students may be dressed any which way, but you as a teacher, you set the agenda, you set the vibe. Show up, present yourself. That was another thing early in COVID. Everyone was in their concert t-shirts. Everyone was in their hoodies. And even the executives were doing this. And they got to the point where we really are professional. We're a Fortune 500 company. Maybe we should dress like it again. Teachers, dress for the part that you're going to be doing. Here's one that I don't know how good the school system is. I don't know what funding and technology is going to be. How much of this is personal stuff? How much is this school investment stuff? Tyler, you would help out with this. Have backups. You're going to have backups. If you're streaming live and if you're doing something and this thing goes down right now, I always have my phone, and Zoom is on my phone. Zoom is on my tablet. You're going to have ways of backup to keep things moving along. Some schools are better funded than others. Some schools have a better technology budget, and they're pivoting from all the sports budget now to technology budget. What was your experience with that last year, Tyler? Because this was so new to everybody. Were there backups in place, or if it went down, see you tomorrow?
No, I think moving into this COVID pandemic, I think a lot of schools were very forgiving of technology issues. And so, and parents were very forgiving, students were very forgiving because we were doing it for the first time. We didn't know what to expect. And so I know there were teachers that were doing it from their phone and it was really crappy quality. Others were doing it from home computers where the internet was unstable. Others, there were lots of things and people were forgiving of that. Now, they're not going to be so forgiving this fall moving back into things because the expectation is you've figured it out by now and you have backups in place. And so I think what you're talking about is right on point, that you need to have done enough troubleshooting that, when something goes wrong, how am I going to respond to that? And that's just a good teaching practice in general. We have, anytime we use technology, whether it's for a presentation, just in our classroom or a school assembly or whatever, you need to have backups in place. And so I think that's the expectation moving forward, is be responsible. Now, that's tricky because of what you mentioned earlier with funding and things like that. We had a lot of teachers, especially older teachers, who had never dealt with technology, and they weren't equipped for things like that. And so in cases like that, every school has a technology department or a person that can come help you. Be friends with that person, and let them know, this is what I can do, this is what I want to do, and they will help you with it.
That's a great point. Yeah, I knew that will help you out. That's huge, no matter what level you are with this. Plus, technology is going to change rapidly. The platforms are already adjusting. We now have higher security. We have passwords now. We have the waiting room, and which Zoom is going to enable that automatically now coming August. Teachers, you need to keep up on this. This is huge. This is not about really presenting. This is just a technology tip for you. You have to read articles now on Zoom, on these platforms, because they are evolving so quickly that if you don't keep up on it and you go live, there are going to be things that were there yesterday that are not there today. There are going to be buffers and securities. People will not be able to get in. You're going to have to add this into your own preparation. Now, like you were saying, Tyler, you have to prepare. And part of your new preparation as a teacher is going to be read articles, study up on the platforms, learn what's working. Eventually, I think schools are going to have to come up with some maybe sort of platform themselves for the education platform. Right now, I know Zoom's the biggest one for the education, what I've heard, but there are other ones emerging. Google Meets is out there. I know some schools are heavy on Google. Which one do you use, Tyler? Which one were you for your school? Did you use Zoom or do you use Google, or which one were you using?
We actually tried a couple. So we would typically use Zoom. We tried to go to Google for a while, and there were some security issues, and then went back to Zoom because of features and security. And so they've played around with different things. We're not a Google school per se, but many teachers use the Google Classroom. And so using Google Meet within the Google Classroom is really convenient. And so I think we don't have a policy in our school right now. I think some teachers will use Zoom, most probably, and then a few others will use some other platforms.
And that's where schools will probably shift to a policy. The great thing about Google, it does integrate with most platforms. So you can share docs, you can share PowerPoint, you can do assignments. And of course, teachers, you can say, upload the assignments to me. So again, that's all the behind the scenes teaching side. But presenting it, you're going to have to experiment and keep up on this. So this is going to be so rapidly changing. What you do now in preparation may not be the same come September. Just be prepared for that type of a rapid movement. As a teacher, use stories in presenting. Besides the facts, the numbers, the data, use that camera and use stories. The students are going to want to know about you. They are going to want to know each other. I don't know how you're going to do home study hall. I don't know how you're going to do recess for the smaller kids. The attention span, this is a huge one for you. Attention span today, because you are now broadcasters, 10 to 15 minutes, and there's a commercial break. 10 to 15 minutes, and there's something else happening. Teachers, you cannot go for an hour straight in your classroom without finding a way to change it up. Have a story, do an engagement, do a slide, do a video clip, intentionally have them get up and do something. But an hour sitting session is going to be really, really tough. And so use creative ways to get them to engage, but also realize if you're teaching on a math subject for 15 minutes, 20 minutes straight, you probably have gone too long. And so you're going to have to find some way to break up the assignment, the study issue, and turn it into engagement, entertainment, a personal story or recollection. Something else is going to have to come on, and we're just not wired, good or bad. TV has changed forever, and now we're part of the TV media. How long on average, Tyler, were your students engaged, do you think, when you were doing this? How long did they really stay with you before you could see them zombieing out and checking out?
Yeah, so I did very little live with my students as far as instruction, because what I found was I could do a better job if I was in front of the classroom just teaching a lesson and then use the live time for answering questions. And so engagement's going to be really high if you're just answering questions and catching up and doing announcements and things like that. But even with just presenting, so for example, with a math lesson, in the beginning, I was doing 20, 30-minute lessons and they didn't work. They were too long. Students were zoning out. And I could tell because I did it on YouTube, and I can look at the analytics on YouTube. And so I can see how long they're watching the videos. And on those 20, 30-minute videos, they were watching for 4 or 5 minutes. And so now with my math videos, I try to get them down to about 5 minutes. And even in 5 minutes, like you mentioned with the stories, at the beginning, my first minute or two is, this is how you are going to use this problem in the real world. So I'm giving them examples and talking about why this concept is important before I even taught the concept. And then I just did 1 or 2 practice. So I showed them how to solve the problem, 1 or 2 practice problems, and that was it. So much shorter lessons. And then I would have follow-up lessons to do more questions or whatever. So if students were struggling with particular problems, then I would do a video just for that one problem, and that seemed to work pretty well.
That's perfect. That there is a shorter time span of attention now.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you can't educate. That doesn't mean you can't move them to the next level. You can also do extra credit just by what you were describing. You can do the main lesson, and students, if you want to, here's an extra module, go do that for extra credit. What a great way to keep those that want to self-learn, that want to go to the next level. They don't have to just stay with what you presented. There can be more if you pre-package and present it. So again, this is limitless now. There's so much more you can do. The other thing, I know Tyler and I were talking about this, if you're looking for speakers, if you're looking into a way to break up the routine of teaching, this is a great way. There are virtual speakers like myself out there that this is what we do. You can get someone to come into a virtual assembly, whether it's for the whole school and have everyone plug in, whether it's for your individual classroom. So you can have a guest expert come in, and that's part of the change up. That's part of the different rhythm of using these people, beam them in and have them help you out. Whereas before, the school always had to budget it, plan it, do it. There's a lot of other creative ways to use your virtual teaching lens now. You could teach science and get another science teacher to come in. You could co-teach. You could have someone from a laboratory come on in and give a little library and then go off of that for your teaching module. These are just 2 ways to think about doing it. So those are some of the easy things to think about, Tyler. What are the things that you as a teacher in the classroom that on the ground level really think you need or might want to know more about?
I think a lot on the technology side. So a lot of teachers are nervous or anxious about their technology working, keeping stable connections. We've even seen on this video that there's been a bit of an unstable connection. So certain things freeze up and certain things, don't work, which I'm starting to discover my students are very forgiving of that. They're still getting the audio. They're still getting the main thing. So if there are small glitches, it's just getting used to that and knowing that we can move forward and still get the important stuff in there. But teachers are worried about the technology side. What do I need to buy my own web camera? Do I need to buy an external microphone? Do I need to actually buy a light kit or a green screen? A lot of teachers don't realize they can just put up a green slide on PowerPoint in their classroom, and that's a green screen, And so it's a lot of those things. What do I need to have to do a good job? And will the students be forgiving if things go wrong?
And again, that's where some of the budget's going to come in. How much is out of pocket for teachers? How much is going to be the school subsidizing? I've gone from a laptop. I've gone to a high definition web camera now. It's got the full wide screen ability. That's why you go all the way back into a full stage now. Mm-hmm. And it's still high def all the way around. And that's just USB, just plugs right into the computer, USB, switches from the laptop to that. Always check your settings before you go on, even if you're recording, go into Zoom, go to your preferences, check your audio mic, which microphone is it grabbing? Because this microphone can be the one that I'm using for my studio, or it can grab the one off the camera, or it can grab the one off my laptop. So you need to go in and make sure you know which one you want to have grab it. Same thing with video. You can grab your laptop video, you can grab the USB, or if you have your camera, you always have to go through those same settings. So every time Even though it should hold and grab it again, never assume it's going to grab the same apparatus. Take a moment, go through your preferences, and make sure you're ready to go, and then you're ready to rock. Now, I do recommend a microphone of some type. The open air has a different sound. It's tinny. You pick up more distractions. You can't pick up the sound of the computer, other things. The keys, we'll hear them type, type, type. So either a microphone, again, this is USB, it's plugged in, it's a studio broadcast microphone. I also do have a lapel mic, so if I'm doing the full presentation, I can walk freely. I also do have the over-the-ear one, same thing, because I'm used to using those because I use my hands as a communicator all the time. So a lot of this is what works for you, teacher. If you're sitting at the desk like Tyler's doing, you can get away with a stand mic, do that. Be more of that roaming, get a wireless power pack. You can plug it in, it's all USB, and it will beam right in with Bluetooth, and you'll have a great audio. But some of this is going to come down to your budget. How much do you want to spend? How do you want to invest yourself? But again, this is limitless to how far you want to go with your creativity.
Right. Can I make a comment?
What are the things you think might be helpful?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment quickly on microphones. Most schools, almost all schools, are seeing a budget deficit. That funding is being taken away. Just, the economy is not strong right now, and so a lot of schools are losing funding. I know we had certain things slashed this year, so we don't have as many aides coming back next year. We don't have as many resources. Plus, we're being really careful with who can come into the building and who can't. So most teachers do not have money. If you had a teacher spending account before, you might not have it now. But to the microphone thing, I use a USB mic, and it's amazing the difference. You can get a $30 or a $40 microphone. You can buy a $100 microphone. You can buy a $4,000 microphone. The difference between no microphone and a $40 microphone is huge. So even if you can't afford the really fancy ones, if you can go on to Amazon and read the ratings and reviews, you can get a pretty decent microphone for 30 or 40 bucks, and it's going to make a difference. And so I think that's a real important thing for teachers to know, that even if you're paying out of pocket, you're going to use that microphone for other things moving forward. So that's a good investment when you're looking at buying things for a technology setup. Now, that didn't answer your question.
Yeah,
what was your question?
No, because just to build on that for a second, my entire setup that I've added to Attitude, I've spent less than $200 going from just a simple laptop, going to what I've got with the ring of light, the new camera, the microphone, all those things. There are a lot of inexpensive. Amazon's my number one best friend right now.
Right.
I would buy locally, but a lot of local dealers don't have it, or they're already bought out. So you can find really good deals. Read the reviews. The other thing, if you're using a laptop to shoot this, your laptop bottom will get hot. The heat will cause your processor not to work at the highest function. It will slow down processing. It's not just bandwidth. Your computer needs to breathe. Mm-hmm. Get it propped up. Make sure you have air vents. You can buy an air vent proper that just have holes. I actually have a circulating fan on mine. I invested in one that can move it to many levels. So it depends on what you want to get, but your laptop is going to have to breathe, because this now becomes one of your biggest tools. If your fan fries out, if the cooling system goes, again, that's going to affect everything with what you're doing through the virtual stage. So one of the biggest things, and a lot of people don't even tell you about that, make sure you have a way to let your computer breathe so that you have good quality stuff being produced. Now, I was just kind of wondering, what are the things my teachers want to know? What might you want to know for your classroom to help you improve your situation this year? You get free coaching here.
Well, so I think a lot of it is just getting your basic needs met. If you don't have, a lot of teachers won't have a laptop, so what can they do with what they already have in their classroom, with their normal computer, with maybe a document camera or something else that will capture video, because a lot of teachers don't have external video. And so I think a lot of teachers have that kind of question. You talked about microphones before. A lot of teachers do microphone themselves in the classroom. So they have like a Bluetooth microphone that they use with the intercom system, but will that work with a computer? Will that sync with Zoom? And so I think teachers are going to be worried about that. Yeah, I think really, I don't know, because I'm fairly technologically savvy, and so I don't think my questions are the same questions that a lot of teachers have. Plus, I've already filmed hundreds of videos, and so I've done a lot of that troubleshooting, and I think that's the biggest thing, is just trying it out, being okay, failing a few times, and figuring it out from there.
Well, and here's a great hidden secret. You have a resource in your classroom that you may never even think about using, teachers. You probably have maybe a couple computer geeks that they love
That's
this
true.
stuff in your classroom with your students. You want great engagement? Get them to be your tech aide. They will eat this up. I'm telling you that if you say, hey, I need some help with this, I know I could do this better, or I don't understand how this USB thing works, or the Bluetooth is acting up, find out who some of your computer kids are that love it. They're already doing YouTube. They're creating their own content. They're on TikTok. They're doing all this stuff. They could be a great free resource for you to get on a private call and say, here's what I've got. Here's what I'm doing. It didn't work last night. Can you tell me what I did wrong? Your students may absolutely love being your aide. And also, financially, the school's not going to be able to have a big techie guru, maybe, but you might have a free one right in your classroom. So use your class, because these students are probably more advanced than you are.
Right.
They will give you a lot of grace and freedom, but they're also probably a great coaching resource as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and I've seen
So,
that in my classrooms.
so from all the things that you could possibly do, one of the biggest things is relax and have fun. Uh, I know from being a teacher myself for a short time, and I know many teachers, they love the classroom, they want to teach, they want to engage, they love their students. The best thing you do is just be authentic and be yourself. No matter what this camera makes you feel like, just be yourself. Teach for your heart, teach with your passion. It's going to feel funny the first couple of times you get really excited on camera, and you're thinking, wow, I'm really, really excited. I don't know why. That's your passion. That's your love for your students. Let that stuff flow out of you, and that will really help your classroom be more alive every day. Never hold back. I coach people. The bigger you go on stage, the more passion that comes out, the greater your engagement. Whether you're live or whether you're on the virtual camera now, either way, your passion will carry through.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Well, Rich, thank you so much for all the tips you shared with us today. If teachers want to connect with you and either bring them into their classroom or for an assembly, or if they just want to learn more about what you do with your coaching and your speaking, where should they go?
The best way is go to richbontrager.net. I'm on most social media platforms. Rich Trigger Bontrager. If you type that in, you'll find me. My email is rich@richbontrager.net. Drop me a line. Let me know that you saw me here with Tyler. A free 30-minute free consultation. So you get 30 minutes on top of what we did here that I can be specific about your needs, your questions, your classroom, and I would love to help you out to get ready to go for the new school year. So if you could share that information with everybody, that'd be great. And I look forward to serving you and helping you out.
Absolutely. So we'll drop that all in the description on this video. So all the links will be right there and they can connect with you, Rich. Thank you so much for being on today and all the value that you've brought helping us teachers out. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate being on. Everyone have a great school year.